My latest acquisition is this grinder here, which is probably at least 70 years old, maybe even more by the looks of it. It was made by Hommel, and it's a great piece of kit, this. The only issue that I'm having with it is that the tool rest here is some homemade shenanigan. This one on this side is much more sophisticated because you can tilt it in each axis and you can shift it in each axis. So that's what I want to have on this grinding wheel also, since this one is only fixed with this one hand wheel, and that means that if you really push down on it, then it might catch loose and tilt in towards the rotating wheel, and we all know what happens next. Carnage, absolute and utter carnage. So I've made a couple of sketches and copied this design, most largely, with a few minor modifications to make it easier for myself. And we're just going to replicate that as a mirror image for this side. And I hope you like watching me do that, because that's what you're going to do. This stuff is all oriented on what I had lying about, and I got lucky because for this one here I intended to take some of my precious straight material and cut it at an angle and then weld it back at a 45. I've got this one here which I'm not sure what to use it for other than heat it up here and then finish the 90-degree bend. This one's going to be a bit more entertaining because I don't have a flat sheet of 15mm thickness, so we're going to use 7mm and then cut it and fold it and weld it together, and then weld this piece onto the side of it to take up this one. And then for the tool rest in itself, we're going to use this block as the base and then cut ourselves a bit of this plating.
And now for something completely different.
One of the most important things to have near a grinder is a pot of water, and since this is now no longer bench mounted, I'm going to mount a pot of water right to the thing. So this is how that's gonna sit. I can now move it in and out, up and down. I can swivel it, move it left to right, and tilt it in and out. I'm happy with that. I think this suits the look of the other rest quite well. It's a little bit on the rough side, of course, but so is this one, let's be honest. I think a couple of decades should give it the proper tan to fit the other one. I noticed these machined noses on here, which are cast, but then the surface here has been machined flat. And I can't figure out for the life of me what belonged here, because, well, it can't be a guard, because the guard would be mounted here. Side guards, well, the bosses are there for screw holes, but they were never drilled. And, I thought maybe a work lamp, but then again you would also need a hole here, or maybe a water pot, but kind of an inconvenient space to put it. So maybe one of you guys has some experience with antique grinders and knows what these bosses are there for. The identical counterpart can be found at the bottom. This one has a hole drilled into it. So, since this is a left and the right side, maybe they just cast these on both sides and maybe something got mounted to the bottom? Gee, I don't know. And that's the grinder complete. I went ahead and did one of these guards here in the same style. Didn't bother filming it, my apologies. But yeah, a little bit of a soddy craftsmanship on my side. All this, just crudely welded together and blocky and crude. But I think it suits the other side. If I made it all nice and shiny, I think it would look a little bit out of place. Lame excuse, I know, but I thought it was fun. Really nice to just, bodge some metal together and get things done. By golly, I haven't even shown you how this thing sounds yet. It's got a funny run-out noise here. Just can't beat the old stuff, right? Anyways, I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!
That's all there is. There isn't any more.